Just when fans thought Amy was ready to move on, she turns around and breaks every rule of healing. Season 19 flips everything we thought we knew. Because Amy Fleming doesn't just make a choice, she makes a statement. Ty still owns her. Heart. Amy has always been strong. From the very first season of Heartland, we saw her grow from a heartbroken teenager into a woman who carried a family, a business, and a deep love story with Ty Borden. But season 19 brings something fans were both hoping for and dreading: the return of romance. And this time it's not Ty who walks into her life. It's Nathan. Nathan entered the story gently. He wasn't trying to replace Ty. He didn't force his presence into Amy's world. He was just there, steady, respectful, a good man with a kind heart, someone who understands horses and, more importantly, understands loss. Slowly, he became a familiar face at Heartland, helping Amy with clients, sharing quiet coffee breaks, and joining family dinners. To the outside world, it looked like something new was blooming. But inside Amy, things were far more complicated. For Amy, every moment with Nathan was layered with guilt. Her heart wasn't empty, it was full of Ty's memory. And every time she laughed at one of Nathan's jokes or found comfort in his company, it felt like a betrayal. She didn't say it out loud, but her eyes told the story. That sadness behind her smile? It wasn't about Nathan. It was about what she had lost and what she wasn't ready to let go of. There were moments that made fans wonder, could she actually fall for Nathan? When they worked late in the barn, when they looked at each other a second too long, when Amy opened up about the pain of losing Ty, those scenes felt like a spark. But just as quickly as hope appeared, it vanished. Because Amy would always pull back. She'd change the subject, walk away, or worse, retreat into herself like she used to do in the early seasons. Season 19 doesn't paint Amy as cold or closed off. It shows her as human, a woman torn between what she should feel and what she really feels. There's a moment in episode, for just a small one, where Amy stares at an old photo of her and Ty. She holds it for a long time. No words, no tears, just silence. That moment says everything. No matter how much time has passed, Ty isn't just a memory. He's still a part of her. And that's what makes the idea of moving on so painful. It's not just about letting someone new in. It's about giving up the space in her heart that still belongs to Ty. And Amy isn't ready to do that. Maybe she never will be. Maybe that's the point. As the season continues, we see Amy trying, not just for herself, but for her daughter, Lindy. She wants to be present. She wants to smile without feeling like she's pretending. And Nathan, for all his patience, starts to hope. But for viewers, some ghosts don't haunt with fear. They haunt with love. Ty Borden was never just a chapter in Amy's story. He was the story. Their love built the very heart of Heartland, and now, even after his death, he shows up, not in body, but in everything around her. And in season 19, his presence is louder than ever, like a soft whisper that never really faded. Amy doesn't need to see him to feel him. Because Ty is in the way the wind moves through the barn doors. He's in the sound of horses galloping at sunrise. He's in every memory Amy can't let go of, and doesn't want to. It starts quietly. Amy begins having dreams, not nightmares, not visions, just dreams. Peaceful ones. She sees Ty smiling at her from across the ranch. Sometimes he's holding Lindy. Other times they're simply sitting on the porch, hands barely touching. No words are spoken, but the feeling is crystal clear. Ty isn't gone. Not to her. And in those moments, waking up is the hardest part. These dreams begin to change her. She's more distant with Nathan even when she doesn't mean to be. He notices her zoning out. Her smiles feel forced. And when he asks if she's okay, she says she's just tired. But the truth is, Amy is slipping further into the past, and the past feels safer than the future. It isn't just dreams. Ty's memory is everywhere. Amy finds one of his old jackets in the tack room. The scent of leather mixed with something that still smells like him almost knocks her breath away. She stands there, jacket in hand, eyes closed, frozen in time. Lindy runs in, laughing, pulling her back to the present. But the weight of the moment lingers long after. Later in the season, Amy visits Ty's memorial, alone. No camera crew, no dramatic music. Just her, the wind, and a quiet moment with the man who once promised her forever. She speaks softly. She tells him about Lindy, about the horses, about how Nathan's been helping. And then, with tears in her eyes, she admits, "I don't know how to do this without comparing everything to you." It's raw, honest. One of the most vulnerable scenes of the series. This is the turning point. Not because Amy decides to shut Nathan out, but because she finally understands that she hasn't really opened up to him at all. Her heart has been locked away, and Ty still holds the key. The showrunners don't try to erase Ty's impact. Instead, they let it breathe. The cinematography changes in these scenes, softer lighting, warmer tones, longer pauses. Every visual tells us what Amy can't say aloud. She still belongs to Ty, in a way that time, grief, and even kindness can't erase. Meanwhile, Nathan starts to sense it too. He's not angry. He's just heartbroken. There's a moment where he sees Amy watching an old video of Ty playing with Lindy. She doesn't hear him come in. She's laughing through tears, replaying it again and again. Nathan backs out quietly. That's the moment he realizes he's standing in a shadow he can't compete with. These emotional echoes of Ty become louder with each episode. And they're not just about romance, they're about identity. Amy isn't just grieving her husband. She's grieving the version of herself that existed when he was alive. And every step toward Nathan feels like a step away from that girl. She's not sure she wants to be someone new. This internal war between past and present creates one of the most authentic portrayals of grief and love the show has ever done. It's not about letting go or moving on. It's about learning how to carry someone with you, even as life keeps changing around you. And in season 19, Amy finally realizes something powerful. Maybe the goal isn't to stop loving Ty. Maybe the real courage is to admit she never will. Some decisions don't break hearts. They reveal where they've always belonged. It doesn't happen in a storm. There's no dramatic fight, no shouting, no tears flooding the barn floor. It happens in the quiet, the kind of quiet that only follows a long emotional war within. Nathan had waited, patiently, kindly, like a man who believed that love, real love, is earned with time and trust. And Amy? She tried. She really did. She laughed at his jokes. She let him in little by little. She leaned on him when work got hard and Lindy got fussy. But no matter how hard she tried, something was missing, and Amy finally realized what it was. Her heart was still facing backward. The scene begins with Amy brushing one of the horses. The light is low, sunset bleeding through the stable windows. Nathan walks in holding 2 mugs of tea. He offers one. She takes it but doesn't drink. She won't meet his eyes. "Amy?" he asks gently. "Are we okay?" She could lie. She could smile and say yes. She could pretend for another week, another month. But the truth is too heavy now. She's tired of carrying it. She sets the mug down, hands shaking just slightly. Then she says the words that change everything. "Nathan, I care about you. I really do. But my heart, it's not here. Not fully. I thought it would be by now. I wanted it to be, but it's still with Ty." Silence. Nathan doesn't respond right away. He just stands there, the words hitting him slowly. "Like waves," Amy continues, voice soft but certain. "You're everything someone would hope for. You're kind. You listen. You've been nothing but good to me and Lindy. But I can't ask you to wait for someone who might never come back. And I can't keep pretending that what I feel for you is enough, because it isn't. Not for you, and not for me." Nathan's eyes drop to the floor, then back up to hers. He nods. Just once. You don't have to explain. I knew. And somehow, that hurts more. They stand there in that moment, not as lovers, not even as friends, just two people who both wanted something real. But only one of them could offer it. Nathan doesn't storm off. He doesn't accuse or beg. Instead, he simply says, "Thank you for being honest," and walks away. And that's the part that breaks Amy. Not his reaction, but his grace. Because he deserved more. And she knows it. Later that night, Amy sits on the porch watching the stars. Lindy is asleep inside. The house is quiet, but her heart is louder than ever. She holds an old photo of Ty and whispers, "I tried. I really tried." She isn't asking for a sign. She's just letting go of the weight she's carried. For the first time in a long time, she's honest with herself. She's not ready to give her heart to someone new, because a part of her still believes that Ty was her one great love. And maybe that's okay. Maybe love isn't about replacing someone. Maybe it's about honoring them enough to know when your heart's not ready. This moment becomes a turning point for Amy. Not just because she says goodbye to Nathan, but because she finally accepts where she truly stands. She's NNs are clear. Amy's heart is still with Ty, even if she's standing next to someone else. It's this emotional tug-of-war that sets up the powerful twist coming later in the season. Because Amy isn't just struggling to move on. She's on the edge of making a choice that will shake everything. Not just for her, but for Nathan, Lindy, and everyone who's been rooting. She's not lost. She's just still healing. And healing doesn't have a timeline. Heartland Season 19 doesn't give us a fairy tale. It gives us something better. A woman choosing truth over comfort, memory over motion, and love that doesn't fade just because the person is gone. Amy didn't just reject Nathan. She reclaimed the part of herself that still belongs to Ty. Not all love stories are loud. Some sneak in quietly, like the first warm wind after a long, frozen winter. While Amy's heart wrestles with ghosts, another woman at Heartland is writing a different kind of love story. One that's quieter, older, and perhaps even more overdue. Amy Fleming has always been the fixer, the planner, the one with the to-do list and the 10-year plan. But when it came to love, her life has been a series of almosts. Almost lasting. Almost right. Almost enough until now. Season 19 finally gives Lou something she's never truly had before. Emotional rest. Not perfection. Not a fairy tale. Just something steady, real, safe, and surprising. Even to her. It begins not with a romantic gesture, but with absence. Peter, the father of her daughters, is away again. This time for good. Their love had been like a storm that never found land. Too much wind, too little grounding. They tried and failed too many times, and this time they both knew it was time to stop trying. Lou doesn't mourn Peter, not anymore. Instead, she finds herself rediscovering what it means to enjoy her own company. She reads again. She walks the ranch at dusk. She cooks meals no one asked for. And in that space where no one is asking her to be anything but herself, love finally shows up. His name? We're not told right away. He's introduced with a gentle presence in episode 5, quiet, mature, and deeply respectful. A rancher from a nearby property. He's not flashy. He doesn't try too hard. He just shows up one day to deliver a horse trailer Lou needed for an event. She barely looks at him. He says something funny. She half smiles. And just like that, the seed is planted. Their relationship grows in moments, not milestones. They don't flirt, they connect. Through shared stories of raising daughters, through accidental late-night conversations in the barn, through mutual silence that feels strangely easy. What makes this love story different is that Lou isn't chasing it. She isn't trying to shape it into something that fits her schedule or her ideal future. For the first time, she's just in it, living it, letting it be. There's a scene in episode 8 that fans are already calling one of the most emotionally honest in Lou's journey. She's sitting with him on a fence overlooking the land, and she says, "I spent so much of my life trying to prove I could do everything alone. I forgot how nice it is, just to not be alone." It's not a love confession. It's a truth. And he doesn't respond with words. He just gently places his hand over hers. That's it. That's the moment. The writers don't try to rush this arc. They give Lou the space she deserves. Because this isn't about falling head over heels. It's about finally landing on solid ground. As Amy's story reminds us that some loves never die, Lou's story proves that new love can grow even in late seasons. It's not better. It's not worse. It's different. And it's exactly what she needs. By the end of the season, Lou smiles more. Her eyes are softer. She moves through the ranch not as someone constantly fixing things, but as someone who has finally been given the grace to feel held, safe, wanted. And not just by someone else, but by herself, because maybe love isn't always about fire. Maybe sometimes it's about quiet warmth. Some endings don't feel like endings. They feel like standing in a doorway between the life you had and the life you haven't met yet. That's where Amy stands now. In the in-between. Season 19 doesn't wrap her story in a bow. It doesn't hand her peace on a silver platter. Instead, it gives us something real. The slow, uncertain steps that come after you finally tell the truth. After you stop pretending. After you break someone's heart and realize you were really just breaking your own open. Amy has made her choice. She's not moving forward with Nathan, but she's not going backward either. She's standing still. And for the first time, in a long time, that's okay. In the episodes that follow, we see a different kind of transformation. Not dramatic, not loud, but undeniable. She starts waking up earlier. Not because she has to, but because the sunrise feels worth seeing again. She spends more time with Lindy, telling her about Ty, but also listening to who Lindy is becoming. There's more laughter in those moments. Not the forced kind. The real kind. The kind that surprises you. Jack notices it first. In one scene, he watches Amy fixing a fence, humming a tune she used to hum when she was with Ty. He doesn't say anything, just smiles, with that proud, knowing look only Jack can wear. It says everything. She's finding her way back. But it's not just Amy who changes. The entire ranch feels different. As if her decision echoed through the air and loosened, something that had been too tight for too long. Lou is in love, not in a fantasy way, but in a grounded, steady way. She and her new partner share scenes that feel like deep breaths after a storm. They don't kiss in the rain or dance under fireworks. They build shelves together, feed horses, share leftovers, and yet, it feels just as powerful, just as important, because Lou finally believes she deserves this kind of love. One that doesn't ask her to prove herself. One that lets her rest. Even Tim changes. There's a softness in him now, less barking, more listening. And in a subtle but beautiful nod, we see him placing a photo of Ty on the mantle again, like a reminder that grief doesn't mean forgetting. It just means learning to carry someone with grace. Heartland itself, the land, the ranch, the way the wind moves through the trees, feels more alive this season. Not because the past is gone, but because the people living in it have finally made peace with what they've lost. Amy rides again, not just for work, not just for training, but for her. There's a moment just a few scenes before the finale where she's galloping across an open field, alone. No one watching, no destination, just her and the horse. Hair loose, wind full, and for the first time in a long time, she's not riding away from anything. She's not riding toward anyone. She's just free. And that's what season 19 gives us. Not a reunion, not a perfect future, but something quieter, something deeper, a reminder that healing doesn't look like forgetting. It looks like learning how to live with the echoes. And smile anyway, because Amy didn't choose Ty over Nathan. She chose truth over compromise, memory over motion, and in doing so, she gave herself back to the only person who truly needed her: herself. Some stories don't end. They just grow quieter, waiting for the next chapter to be written. If you felt that twist in your chest, if Amy's journey, Ty's memory, and Lou's quiet new beginning moved you, you're not alone. There's more coming, more emotion, more drama, more Heartland. And if you don't want to miss a single heartbeat of what's next, subscribe to our channel, Next Door. Because the next twist might be the one that changes everything.